Hello, I'm Mike from Canavan Wealth. Welcome to what I'm going to be calling Mike Reads the Journal. I talk kind of current events with a lot of clients, so I thought it was meaningful to put out content towards that end. And the reason I choose the Wall Street Journal is because I think its particular bias suits me and my audience very well. I think we all understand at this point that all media is biased. And a lot of the mainstream media is really there as a business now to reinforce whatever it is the viewer wants to be reinforced. I think if you're headed to news outlets like Fox, CNN, MSN, they're largely telling you what you want to hear, not necessarily really diving into the intricacies of that article or that news story. The Wall Street Journal, I think, certainly has its own biases. But I think the people coming here are business people and investors. And when it comes to people's money, they don't want to be diluted. I think they, at least amongst most people looking for news, actually want to try and understand what's going on so that they can better their investments or their businesses or whatever it is. So that's why I read the Wall Street Journal. Obviously, I'm a financial professional as well, and it is the mecca of news for all things financial. So the three articles I picked today, the first is this fine for Meta using online ads that target users' activities. This has been a very ongoing story in lots of different ways. This will be appealed, and this is not the end of this story. The reason I wanted to bring this up is just about it. The tech world right now seems so concrete with Amazon, Facebook dominance, what we now call kind of Web 2.0, which is social media targeted advertising and such big revenues around online advertising. It seems like it will never go away, but it will someday. There will be a new tech resurgence. There will be a new norm. There will be a new internet. It seems like it's been the same one, but it's actually changed dramatically over the years. And because of that, the tech, investment world is always going to be very volatile. We saw last year, obviously 2022, when it did very, very poorly. And yet for years before that, it seemed like the unstoppable juggernaut of growth. All right. The second article I brought up is really just the ongoing coverage around what's going on with not being able to appoint McCarthy as Speaker of the House. I think a lot of people view this as Washington not working. I'm actually going to go the other way. And I think things like this are actually signs that government is going to start to improve. I think over the past few years, the parties have spent so much time battling each other that they have not really figured out what it means to be those parties. We see these, we're starting to see these internal divisions. Obviously, the Republican Party is going through a lot of turmoil, but we also saw it out of the Democrats for the last 2 years, not being able to achieve a lot of their agenda due to internal fractures. This coverage here is not in support or against one party or the other, or definitely not supporting the few that are not falling in line with appointing McCarthy. I'm sure you will eventually figure out my political leanings, but I see this as a positive because I think the parties are fracturing internally because they have not had that stress for too long, and I think America will be better if both parties go through some internal turmoil and figure out the appropriate direction for them and their supporters. So I actually see this as a positive. I think McCarthy will probably get nominated very soon. This may not age well, but we'll see. See what happened next week. The last article is specifically this article about the Battle of Bakhmut in Ukraine and where the front line is. That's not exactly what I want to talk about. I want to kind of start an ongoing dialogue on what's going on in the war in Ukraine. Specifically, I want to talk about if there's somebody out there that's trying to convince you that they saw 2022 coming in the massive downturn, if they think that they predicted that a land war in Europe was going to start Cold War 2.0, I'm going to call BS on that. I just don't believe that anyone could have seen a war on this level occurring, on Europe's doorstep. I mean, this is really unprecedented. It's a big deal for the world. It was a big deal for the markets. I think at this point, it is unlikely that we're going to see a Russian quote unquote victory. I think they will find an exit strategy where they can save as much face as possible. And I think that will be good for the markets. If it does not end quickly, I don't think it's necessarily going to be bad for the markets. I think largely most of the damage has been done. I think the energy sector is probably stronger now because of this. When challenging events like this happen, the markets tend to come out stronger at the other end. And I think the energy sector needed this challenge and strengthening this year in order to kind of prove themselves for the future. And I think they did. I think they did a remarkable job adjusting to everything that was going on with the war in Ukraine. Obviously, the war itself is a tragedy on both sides. I think everyone understands we're not fighting the Russian soldiers here. We're fighting the Russian government and, their leaders. So true tragedy. I wish it the swiftest end it could possibly see. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you next week on Mike Reads the Journal. Thank you.